My wife threw her wedding ring at me, my grandmother's ring, and screamed that she missed being single. 4 months later, she'd wish she could take that back. Not because she missed me, because that ring was worth $8,000 and the man she threw it away for, he was worth $1.8 million in stolen money. When my lawyer called her, she panicked. When the FBI called, she collapsed. This is the story of how my wife became both the villain and the victim, and why I'm still not sure which one she really is. We were that couple everyone thought had it figured out. Daniel and Jennifer Thompson, married 12 years, 2 kids, a golden retriever named Biscuit. Minivan in the driveway of our Charlotte suburb. I worked as a pharmacist at the CVS on Providence Road. Steady job, good benefits, home by 6 most nights. Jennifer managed marketing campaigns for a mid-sized firm downtown. We had Tuesday family dinners at Mellow Mushroom, Emma and Noah's artwork covering our refrigerator, weekend soccer games at the fields near Dilworth Elementary. The American dream, right? But somewhere around April of 2024, Jennifer stopped looking at me during dinner. She was looking at her phone. It started with a conference, the Women in Business Summit at the Charlotte Convention Center on April 15th, tax day, though I didn't catch that irony until later. Jennifer came home that evening with this glow, not the I love my husband glow I remembered from our early years. This was different, the I just met someone who sees me glow. She showed me brochures, talked about untapped potential and transformative speakers. One name kept coming up, Marcus Sullivan. "This man is going to change my life," she said, holding up his business card like it was a winning lottery ticket. I should have known right then. But I was supportive, encouraging even. What kind of husband discourages his wife's professional development? The kind who's paying attention, apparently. Over the next few months, Jennifer transformed. New clothes, expensive ones. Nordstrom charges that made our credit card statement look like someone else's life. $1,200 in June alone. Business dinners, 2, 3 times a week at places like Fahrenheit and the Capitol Grill, places we'd only been to for anniversaries. She'd come home smelling like wine and ambition, talking about networking and building her personal brand. In May, I found LLC paperwork on our home printer. JMC Consulting Group. I asked her about it over coffee one Saturday morning, keeping my tone casual. "It's my consulting business," she said, not looking up from her laptop. "I told you about it last week." She hadn't. Then there were the passwords. After 12 years of shared everything, bank accounts, phone pins, laptop passwords, suddenly Jennifer was changing them all. Her phone was always face down now, always on silent. She'd take calls in the garage, in the backyard, anywhere I wasn't. "Why'd you change your phone password?" I asked one night in July, trying to keep the accusation out of my voice. Her jaw tightened. "Because I need privacy, Daniel. Because I'm tired of feeling like you're monitoring me. I miss my single phase, when I had my own life, my own money, my own decisions." There it was. The first time she said it, not the last. When your wife changes her password after 12 years, you notice. When she starts going to business dinners dressed like she's going on a date, you know. But knowing and proving are different things. And I still wanted to believe I was wrong. I wasn't wrong. The notification lit up my phone at 3:42 in the morning on August 3rd. A bank alert. The kind you get for large transactions. My hand was shaking as I opened it. The blue light harsh in our dark bedroom. Wire transfer of $85,000 approved from joint checking account. $85,000. Gone. I looked at Jennifer, asleep beside me, or at least pretending to be. Her breathing was too controlled, too measured. She was awake. I got up quietly, went downstairs to my laptop, logged into our bank account with fingers that felt numb. Our joint savings, the account we'd built over 12 years, the safety net we'd carefully constructed, had gone from $98,000 to $12,000 in a single transaction. The recipient, JMC Consulting Group, LLC. My hands were shaking as I pulled up the account history. The transfer had been initiated at 11:36 p.m. while I was asleep. While Jennifer was supposedly asleep beside me, I printed the statement. Sat at our kitchen table, the same table where we'd had thousands of family dinners, where Emma and Noah did their homework, where Jennifer and I used to talk about our dreams, and stared at the numbers. When Jennifer came downstairs at 6 a.m., I had the printout waiting. "What is this?" I kept my voice level. Pharmacists are good at that. "Calm in crisis." She glanced at the paper, and something flickered across her face. Not guilt, irritation. Like I'd caught her doing something mildly inconvenient, not stealing our life savings. "It's an investment," she said, pouring coffee like we were discussing the weather. "In my startup, I told you about this last week." "You didn't tell me anything, Jennifer." "Well, I'm telling you now." Her voice was rising, defensive. "This is my business, Daniel, my decision. This is exactly why I need my own money, my own life. You never support my dreams. Dreams don't cost $85,000 without a conversation." "A conversation?" She slammed her mug on the counter. "You mean permission? I'm not your child, Daniel. I'm your wife. Or at least, I'm supposed to be. But lately, I feel more like your employee, someone you manage and monitor and control. I'm trying to understand where our savings went. It's an investment in our future, in my future." Marcus said, I repeated. "Marcus Sullivan, the guy from the conference." Her face flushed. "He's my business mentor. He believes in me, Daniel. He sees my potential. Maybe if you spent less time questioning me and more time supporting me, you'd see it too." I should have exploded, should have yelled, demanded answers, threatened divorce right there. But something in my gut told me this was bigger than an argument about money. This was about something I didn't fully understand yet. So I did something that surprised both of us. "Okay," I said quietly. She blinked. "Okay? Okay. I hope your investment pays off." I walked upstairs, went to work, and spent the entire day thinking about that one detail she'd let slip, Marcus said. By evening, I'd made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her again. I was going to investigate, because something about this whole thing felt wrong. And what I found over the next 6 weeks, it was so much worse than an affair. It was so much worse than anything I could have imagined. The recycling bin, that's where I found the first real clue. Jennifer had printed something on our home printer, reviewed it, and tossed it. Sloppy. Or maybe some part of her wanted me to find it. Either way, on August 5th, while she was at another business dinner, I pulled out the crumpled papers and smoothed them flat on my desk. Articles of incorporation for JMC Consulting Group, LLC, filed May 20th, 2024. Registered agent, Marcus James Sullivan. Business address, a P.O. box in Wilmington, North Carolina. I sat there staring at that name, Marcus James Sullivan, the man who was transforming my wife's life, the mentor, the believer in her potential. I opened my laptop and Googled him. His LinkedIn profile was impressive. Professional headshot, mid-40s, expensive suit, confident smile, 500-plus connections, glowing testimonials from successful clients. His bio claimed 15 years in business transformation, over 200 women entrepreneurs helped, and a degree from Harvard Business School. I spent 3 hours that night digging deeper. The more I looked, the less I found. No company history beyond vague claims, no physical office address, no verifiable employment history. His Harvard degree? I called the alumni office the next morning, pretending to verify credentials for a potential business partnership. They had no record of a Marcus James Sullivan graduating from Harvard Business School. Not in the year he claimed, not in any year. Red flags were piling up like snow in a blizzard, but I needed more than suspicions. I needed proof, and I found it in the garage, of all places. Jennifer's old iPad, the one she'd used before upgrading last Christmas. It was sitting in a box of electronics we'd been meaning to donate. I powered it on and watched it connect to our Wi-Fi. Then I watched it sync to her iCloud account, the account she'd never bothered to disconnect. Every text message, every email, every photo, all of it downloading in real time. I opened iMessage, scrolled through her contacts, and there it was. Marcus S. The thread dated back to April 16th, the day after the conference. Reading your wife's affair messages feels like watching a horror movie where you're screaming at the screen, "Don't go in that room!" Except you're watching your own life. And she already went in. She brought $85,000 with her. The early messages were professional. "Thank you for your insights today at the conference. Your session on female entrepreneurship really resonated with me." His response, "Jennifer, It was a pleasure meeting you. I could see your potential from across the room. We should discuss how I can help you unlock it." By mid-May, they'd moved past professional. "You really understand me in ways Daniel never has. He's so risk-averse, so afraid of anything that disrupts his comfortable routine." Marcus's reply: "Some people are builders, Jennifer. Others are maintainers. You're a builder trapped in a maintainer's life. That must be suffocating." June brought the romantic escalation. "Can't stop thinking about last night at the Ritz. You were incredible." Her response included an emoji I'd never seen her use. 3 hearts, the Ritz-Carlton, while I thought she was at a networking event in Raleigh. July was when Marcus shifted to financial manipulation. The messages were calculating, predatory. "The startup needs capital to launch, Jennifer. This is your moment, but it requires commitment, real commitment. Are you ready to bet on yourself?" "I don't know if Daniel will agree to investing that much." "This isn't about Daniel. This is about you, your future, your independence. You've spent 12 years building his stable life. When do you get to build yours?" "You're right. I deserve this. You deserve everything. And once you have your own money, you won't need his permission for anything." The final message I read was from August 1st, 2 days before the wire transfer. "Once this investment clears, you'll be free, Jennifer. Financially independent. You can make your choices, live your life. Isn't that what you've always wanted?" I closed the iPad. Sat in the dark garage for I don't know how long. The logical part of my brain, the pharmacist part that deals in measurements and dosages and chemical interactions, was cataloging everything. The emotional part was screaming. But here's what I realized sitting there among boxes of old belongings and broken dreams. I wasn't angry anymore. I was cold, clinical, because this wasn't just about my marriage ending. This was about something bigger, something methodical and practiced. Those same lines. "I see your potential. You deserve this. Once you have your own money," they sounded rehearsed, like a script someone had perfected through repetition. On September 20th, I walked into the offices of Nelson & Associates in uptown Charlotte. The receptionist led me to a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Attorney Rebecca Nelson looked up from her desk, sharp eyes, sharper suit, the kind of lawyer who wins by being smarter than everyone else in the room. I'd chosen her carefully. 89% success rate in family law cases, specialized in what she called financial infidelity. She'd written articles about it, given talks. This wasn't her first rodeo with situations like mine. I laid out everything, the bank statements, the LLC documents, the iMessage thread. She read through it all with the detached focus of a surgeon reviewing x-rays. When she finished, she looked at me and said 3 words that changed everything. "This is prosecutable." "Prosecutable," I repeated, "not just divorce-worthy." "Mr. Thompson, your wife didn't just have an affair. She potentially participated in wire fraud. And based on these messages, I'd bet money Marcus Sullivan has done this before. Men like him don't develop this level of sophistication from a single victim." "What are you suggesting?" She leaned forward. "I'm suggesting we document everything, file for divorce citing adultery, which matters in North Carolina for property division, and that we bring in someone who can dig deeper into Mr. Sullivan's background. I have someone in mind. Former FBI Economic Crimes Unit. She's expensive, but if your instincts are correct, she'll find proof." "How expensive?" $8,000 retainer. I had the money, not from our joint account. Jennifer had decimated that. But from my inheritance. My parents had died in 2020, left me $100,000 I'd been saving for Emma and Noah's college funds. Now I was going to use $15,000 of it to dismantle my marriage and possibly expose a criminal. Sometimes the right thing and the painful thing are the same thing. Caroline Rodriguez walked into Rebecca's conference room 3 days later. Mid-30s, former FBI agent turned private investigator, she had the kind of presence that made you sit up straighter. She listened to my story without interrupting, taking notes in a leather portfolio. "I'll need a week," she said when I finished. "Maybe less. Men like Marcus Sullivan leave patterns, digital footprints, financial trails. If he's done this before, and I believe he has, I'll find the evidence." "What are you looking for exactly?" "Other victims, shell companies, multiple identities, bank records. I have contacts who can pull information most PIs can't access. Legal channels, Mr. Thompson. Everything we find will be admissible in court. She found it all. On September 30th, my phone rang while I was at work, counting pills and trying to maintain the illusion that my life was normal. Caroline's voice was different when I answered, excited, almost breathless. "Daniel," she said. We were on a first-name basis by then. "Your wife isn't his first victim. She's number 23, and I can prove it." She'd found 3 different LinkedIn profiles under slight name variations. Marcus J. Sullivan, M. James Sullivan, James M. Sullivan. Same face, slightly different backgrounds, all targeting the same demographic. Women aged 30 to 45, married, mid-career, attending empowerment conferences. The Harvard degree was fake, verified directly with the university. The P.O. box in Wilmington was linked to 15 shell LLCs, all with similar names. Empowerment Holdings, Female Futures LLC, Independence Capital Group. But the bank records were the smoking gun. Caroline had contacts, former colleagues who knew how to subpoena financial documents for suspected fraud investigations. Wire transfers from 12 different women over the past 18 months. Amounts ranging from $50,000 to $120,000. Total, $1.2 million. Caroline had tracked down 5 of the women, interviewed them. They all told the same story. Met Marcus at a conference. He became their mentor. Emotional affair turned physical. He convinced them to invest in a startup, a business opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Then he either disappeared or strung them along with excuses until they realized they'd been conned. Most were too embarrassed to report it, too ashamed to admit they'd been manipulated. "There's more," Caroline said. "Marcus isn't working alone anymore, at least not with Jennifer. I found Venmo transactions, $5,000 from Marcus to Jennifer on August 15th. Memo line, referral fee." My blood went cold. Referral fee for what? I think you know. I did know, because I'd seen Jennifer's calendar, seen her meeting with her college friend Beth twice in July. Beth Cooper, who'd inherited $200,000 from her father last spring. Beth, who Jennifer had introduced to an amazing business consultant who could help her invest wisely. Jennifer wasn't just a victim, she was recruiting. Now I had a choice. The kind of choice that keeps you up at night, the kind that makes you question what kind of person you really are. I could divorce Jennifer quietly, keep this information between us, protect the mother of my children from criminal charges, take the kids, take the house, walk away from the wreckage. Or I could blow this whole thing open, work with the FBI, stop Marcus from doing this to wife number 24, and 25, and 50. But that meant Jennifer might face charges too. Conspiracy, wire fraud. She could go to prison. Emma and Noah could end up with a mother who's a convicted felon. I sat in Rebecca's office that night, September 30th, after the kids were in bed and Jennifer was at another business dinner, and wrestled with this decision. "What would you do?" I asked Rebecca. She didn't hesitate. "I'd call the FBI, not for revenge, for justice. Because every day you wait is another day Marcus Sullivan is grooming his next victim. And Jennifer made her choice when she took that referral fee." I thought about Melissa Parker, one of the victims Caroline had interviewed. She'd lost $120,000, her disabled son's college fund. Money for his future, his care, his independence. Gone because Marcus Sullivan made her feel special. I thought about Rachel Thompson, different last name, no relation to me. She'd attempted suicide when she realized she'd been conned. She survived, thank God. But the woman Caroline interviewed wasn't the same person who'd attended that empowerment conference 2 years ago. I thought about Angela Davis from Raleigh, lost $88,000 in her marriage. Her husband divorced her, got custody of their kids. She sees them every other weekend now. And I thought about wife number 24, some woman out there right now, maybe sitting in a conference room just like Jennifer did, listening to Marcus Sullivan tell her she has untapped potential. She doesn't know yet that she's being hunted. I made the call. "Special Agent Thomas Wright, FBI Economic Crimes Unit," the voice answered. "My name is Daniel Thompson," I said, "and I have information about an ongoing wire fraud operation." Within 48 hours, the FBI had enough for an arrest warrant. They just needed the right moment, the perfect trap. And Marcus Sullivan? He was about to hand it to them on a silver platter. Agent Thomas Wright was everything you'd expect from a 20-year FBI veteran who specialized in financial predators. 52 years old, graying at the temples, with the kind of calm authority that came from seeing every con, every scheme, every variation of human greed and manipulation. He met with me, Rebecca, and Caroline at the FBI's field office in Charlotte on October 1st. We sat in a conference room with whiteboards covered in Marcus Sullivan's web of victims, shell companies, and money trails. "Mr. Thompson," Wright said, reviewing Caroline's dossier, "men like Marcus Sullivan don't stop. They escalate. Every time they succeed, they get bolder. Your wife was number 23. If we don't stop him now, there will be a number 50. He walked me through what Caroline had uncovered in more detail. Marcus's operation was sophisticated, frighteningly so. "He's not just running a romance scam," Wright explained, pointing to the whiteboard. "He's weaponizing the empowerment movement. He targets women at conferences designed to inspire female entrepreneurship, financial independence, professional growth. Places where women are already primed to think about taking risks, breaking free from limitations, betting on themselves. The psychology was calculated. Marcus would identify women who felt trapped, not necessarily in bad marriages, but in safe ones, comfortable ones, women who'd spent years being responsible, being the support system, being everything to everyone except themselves. Women who looked at their lives and felt that gnawing question, is this all there is? He love bombs them," Wright continued. "Constant validation. You're too smart for your current situation. I see potential everyone else misses. He makes them feel seen in a way they haven't felt in years, maybe ever. I thought about Jennifer's face that night after the conference. That glow. Someone finally sees me. Then comes isolation," Wright said, subtle at first. "Your husband doesn't understand entrepreneurship. Small minds fear big dreams. He plants seeds of doubt about their support systems, makes them feel like they're surrounded by people holding them back. I remember Jennifer's accusations. You never support my dreams. You're so risk-averse. You're afraid of anything that disrupts your comfortable routine." Those weren't her words. They were Marcus's words, spoken through her mouth. "The affair usually starts around month 2 or 3, Wright went on. By then, emotional dependency is established. The physical relationship just cements it, makes them feel like they're in a partnership, not a con. Then comes the financial grooming. Caroline pulled out bank statements, showing the pattern across multiple victims. He starts small. Coffee is on him. Dinner is on him. Small investments in them. Then he pitches the opportunity. Let me invest in you. Eventually it becomes, this opportunity requires capital, your capital. And by then, they trust him completely. The amounts varied, but the timeline was consistent. 2 to 3 months of grooming, another 2 to 3 months of financial manipulation, then the extraction. With some victims, Marcus disappeared completely after getting the money. With others, like Jennifer, he strung them along, promising the business was launching soon. Just a few more delays, just a bit more capital needed. He manufactures urgency, Wright said. Investment window closes Friday. Other investors are interested. Time pressure prevents rational thinking, and when they hesitate, he gaslights them. I thought you were different. Maybe you're not ready for success. He makes not giving him money feel like a personal failure. I thought about the text Jennifer sent. I deserve this. 4 words that cost us $85,000. With your wife specifically, Wright looked at me with something like sympathy. He exploited her narrative about feeling trapped, made the affair feel like empowerment, not betrayal, made stealing from you feel like independence, not theft. He's good, Mr. Thompson, frighteningly good. How many victims total, I asked. That we can confirm? 22, including your wife. But we suspect there are more who haven't come forward. Total documented theft. $1.8 million over 3 years. $1.8 million. 22 families. 22 women who thought they were special, who thought they'd found someone who finally understood them. Caroline opened her laptop. I want you to hear their stories. Not all of them. We don't have time, but enough to understand the scope. Melissa Parker was 39, from Charleston, South Carolina. She'd met Marcus at a Women in Tech conference in March 2023. He convinced her to invest $120,000, her disabled son's college fund, into a revolutionary medtech startup. The affair lasted 8 months. When she finally demanded proof the startup existed, he sent fabricated documents. By the time she realized they were fake, he'd moved on to his next victim. "She's cooperating fully with our investigation," Caroline said. "She kept everything: emails, wire transfer confirmations, hotel receipts, even recorded some phone calls once she got suspicious. She's our star witness." Lauren Mitchell from Atlanta lost $95,000. She divorced her husband for Marcus, believing they'd build an empire together. Marcus disappeared 3 days after the final wire transfer. She found out later he'd never filed the LLC paperwork he'd shown her. It was all fabricated. Rachel Thompson, no relation, from Jacksonville, was 35 when she met Marcus. Lost $62,000 to his female-focused venture capital fund. When she realized she'd been conned, she tried to kill herself. Drove to a parking garage, wrote a note, sat in her car with a bottle of pills. A security guard found her before she took them. She's alive. She's in therapy. But Caroline said the woman she interviewed wasn't the same person who'd attended that conference. Angela Davis from Raleigh, 37, lost $88,000. Her husband found out about the affair and the missing money. Divorced her. Got primary custody of their 2 daughters. Angela sees her kids every other weekend now. She lost her money, her marriage, and her children to Marcus Sullivan's business opportunity. Right, let that sit in the silence. 22 women, 22 variations of the same con. All of them thought they were special. All of them thought they were different. But here's what makes this case unusual, Wright said, pulling up another document. "Your wife is the first victim we found who became a co-conspirator. The Venmo transaction, $5,000. August 15th, referral fee." Caroline had dug deeper into Jennifer's calendar and messages, found evidence of 2 recruitment attempts. Beth Cooper was the obvious one. Jennifer's college friend recently inherited $200,000, perfect for the expansion plan, according to Jennifer's text to Marcus. But there was another one, a woman named Sarah Mitchell from Jennifer's gym. Jennifer had invited her to a networking coffee with Marcus in early September. Sarah had been suspicious, didn't bite, dodged the bullet Jennifer had aimed at her. "The question," Wright said, looking directly at me, "is whether your wife knew this was a scam or whether Marcus manipulated her into recruiting without understanding the full picture. Does it matter?" My voice came out harder than I intended. "Legally, yes, intent matters. If she genuinely believed she was helping her friend invest in a legitimate business, that's different from knowingly participating in fraud. But morally?" Wright shrugged. "That's above my pay grade." I thought about that text again. Beth just inherited $200K from her dad. She's perfect for the expansion plan. The way she'd talked about her friend like a mark, like an opportunity. "What's the timeline?" I asked. "We're building the case now," Wright said. "We need a few more weeks to coordinate with victims, gather all financial records, build an airtight prosecution. Then we'll set a trap. Something that gets Marcus in a room where we can arrest him with evidence he can't deny." "What about Jennifer?" "That depends on her cooperation. If she testifies against Marcus, provides full access to communications, helps us understand his methodology, we can offer immunity. If she refuses, she'll be charged as a co-conspirator. Wire fraud is a federal crime, Mr. Thompson. 5 to 20 years in prison." 5 to 20 years. Emma was 8. Noah was 6. If Jennifer went to prison for even 5 years, Emma would be 13 when her mother got out. Noah would be 11. Their entire childhood gone. If Rebecca spoke up, "We need to be strategic about the divorce filing. We should serve papers before the arrest. Creates distance between Daniel and Jennifer legally, protects his assets, and might shock her into cooperation." "When?" I asked. "This week," Rebecca said. "I'll have papers ready by tomorrow. We can have her served on Friday." October 2nd, the day my marriage would officially end on paper. But I still had to go home, had to sit across from Jennifer at dinner that night, had to kiss Emma and Noah goodnight, had to pretend everything was normal while knowing that in 72 hours, a process server would hand my wife divorce papers. I got home around 7. Jennifer's car was in the driveway, unusual for a weeknight. She'd been having business dinners 4, sometimes 5 nights a week lately. Inside, she was cooking, also unusual, pasta, garlic bread, the kitchen smelling like the home I remembered from years ago. "Hey," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. I thought we could have dinner together, just us. Kids ate earlier. Emma and Noah were in the living room, absorbed in some cartoon. Jennifer had planned this. A dinner alone with her husband. Why? We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd confronted her about the wire transfer, where we'd had 1,000 ordinary conversations that now felt like artifacts from someone else's life. I know things have been tense, Jennifer started, pushing pasta around her plate. With the business launch stress and everything, but Marcus thinks we're really close to securing the investors we need. Another month, maybe 2, and everything will pay off. Another month. More time for Marcus to extract more money, recruit more victims. Jennifer, I said carefully, have you talked to anyone about this investment? Besides Marcus? A lawyer, maybe? A financial advisor? Her jaw tightened. Why would I need to do that? $85,000 is a significant amount of money, which I'm going to triple when the business launches. Marcus has projections, Daniel. Real projections. This is happening. Where is the business? The actual office? It's a virtual company right now. That's how modern businesses work. Low overhead, distributed workforce. Who are the other investors? I can't disclose that. NDAs. NDAs for a company that doesn't exist yet? Her face flushed. You know what? This is exactly why I don't talk to you about this. You're so negative, so closed-minded. Marcus warned me you'd try to sabotage this. Marcus warned her. Of course he did. Isolate the victim from anyone who might ask questions. I'm not trying to sabotage anything, I said quietly. I'm trying to understand where our savings went. It's not your savings, Daniel. It's our savings. And I'm investing our money in our future. Or at least I'm trying to. If you can't support that, then maybe... She trailed off. Maybe what? She looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw something in her eyes. Not love, not anger, just distance. Like she was looking at a stranger. Maybe we want different things, she said. Maybe we've wanted different things for a long time, and we've both been too comfortable to admit it. I wanted to tell her everything right then, wanted to lay out the evidence, the victims, the FBI investigation, wanted to watch her face as she realized Marcus Sullivan wasn't her soulmate or her business partner. He was a predator, and she was prey. But Wright had been clear. Don't tip him off. Don't let Jennifer warn Marcus. One premature confrontation could blow the entire investigation. So I just nodded. Maybe you're right. She seemed surprised by my agreement, expected a fight probably. Got resignation instead. I'm sleeping in the guest room, I said, standing up. I think we both need space to figure out what we want. I spent that night in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, thinking about paths not taken, about the moment Jennifer met Marcus Sullivan, and how different our lives would be if she'd just walked past his booth that day, if she'd never gone to that conference, if I'd paid more attention to her unhappiness before someone else weaponized it. But I'd learned something important in my years as a pharmacist. You can't change the chemical composition of a substance by wishing it were different. You can only work with what is. And what was this. My wife had betrayed me, stolen from me, and recruited others into a con, and in 72 hours, she was going to find out I knew everything. The dominoes were falling. All I had to do was wait. Friday, September 29th. I took the day off work, told the pharmacy manager I had a family emergency. Not a lie, technically. The process server arrived at 10 a.m. while Jennifer was at a strategy session with Marcus. I met him on the driveway, handed him the address, watched him take the envelope containing divorce papers, property division documents, and Rebecca's business card. She should be home around noon, I told him. He nodded. I'll wait. I didn't want to be there for the serving, couldn't watch that moment, so I drove. Just drove through Charlotte with no destination, past the CVS where I worked, past Mellow Mushroom, where we'd had those Tuesday dinners, past Dilworth Elementary, where Emma and Noah learned to read and tie their shoes, and all the ordinary miracles of childhood. My phone rang at 12:15, Jennifer. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again at 12:18, again at 12:23. By 1 p.m., I had 16 missed calls. I listened to the first voicemail. Her voice was sharp, angry. Daniel, what the hell is this? Divorce papers? You had me served at our house? Call me back, now. The second voicemail, 10 minutes later. This is insane. We need to talk about this like adults. You can't You can't do this without talking to me first. The third, her voice cracking slightly. Please call me. Please, we can work this out. I didn't call back. By the time I pulled into our driveway at 5 p.m., Jennifer's car was there. I sat in mine for a long moment, preparing myself. Through the kitchen window, I could see her pacing, phone pressed to her ear. Probably calling Marcus. Again. Inside the house felt different, charged, like the air before a thunderstorm. Jennifer was in the kitchen, divorce papers spread across the counter. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying. 16 calls, Daniel? I called you 16 times. I set my keys on the hook by the door. I know. That's it? You know, you have me served with divorce papers and then ignore me all day, and all you can say is, I know? What do you want me to say, Jennifer? I want you to explain this. She grabbed the papers, shook them at me. Irreconcilable differences, adultery, you're citing adultery. Are you denying it? Her face went pale. That's not the Ritz-Carlton, June 12th. Can't stop thinking about last night. I kept my voice level, clinical, like I was reading off a prescription bottle. The Capitol Grill, July 8th, Fahrenheit, July 22nd. Should I continue? She set the papers down slowly. You went through my phone, your old iPad. You left it synced to iCloud. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The refrigerator hummed. Outside, a neighbor's dog barked. Normal sounds in a house that would never be normal again. So that's it? Jennifer's voice was rising now. You spy on me, find some texts and just, what, destroy our marriage? I didn't destroy our marriage, Jennifer. You did. You and Marcus Sullivan. Marcus is trying to help me build something that's mine. Do you understand what that feels like? To have something that's yours? Or have you been so comfortable in your stable little pharmacist life that you've forgotten what it's like to want more? I want a wife who doesn't steal from me. Steal? She was shouting now. I invested in our future, in my future. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Everything has to be your way, your comfort zone, your safe little existence. I've been your wife, their mother, your parents' daughter-in-law for 12 years. When do I get to be me? You could have been you without draining our savings account. You could have been you without fucking Marcus Sullivan. She flinched. I never used that language. We were the civil couple, the mature communicators. I'm sorry, she said, but the words sounded hollow, automatic. I'm sorry about the affair, but Daniel, the business is real. The opportunity is real. Marcus has investors lined up. We're so close to launching. Marcus Sullivan doesn't have a degree from Harvard Business School, I said quietly. I checked. What? His degree. It's fake. I called Harvard. They have no record of him. She shook her head. That's not... You're lying. You're trying to sabotage this because you can't stand to see me succeed. His business address is a P.O. box in Wilmington. He has 3 different LinkedIn profiles under slightly different names. The LLC you invested in, it's one of 15 shell companies registered to the same address. Stop it. Beth Cooper. You introduced her to Marcus in July, told him she'd just inherited $200,000. He paid you $5,000 for the referral. Jennifer's face went white, actually white. How do you? Venmo, August 15th. Memo line, referral fee. You recruited your best friend into this, Jennifer, for $5,000. It wasn't like that. Marcus needed funding, and Beth needed investment advice, and I was helping both of them. You were helping yourself. You took a referral fee for bringing your friend to a con artist. He's not a con artist. She was screaming now, crying, her careful mask completely shattered. Marcus loves me. He believes in me. He sees who I really am, not just some suburban mom who exists to serve everyone else. I miss my single phase, Daniel. I miss when I was just Jennifer, not Jennifer the pharmacist's wife, not Jennifer the PTA mom, not someone who has to ask permission to spend her own money. Then be single, I said. I'm giving you what you want. She stared at me, tears streaming down her face. You don't mean that. I do. She looked at the divorce papers again, really looked at them this time, saw the property division, the custody arrangement, primary custody to me, supervised visitation for her, the asset freeze, the demand for repayment of the $85,000 plus legal fees. You're trying to take my kids. I'm protecting my kids. From their mother? From a mother who's making dangerous decisions. Who's involved with a man she doesn't really know. Who's spending money we don't have on businesses that don't exist. "You're doing this because you're jealous," she spat. "Because for once in my life, I'm choosing me over you, and you can't handle it." I walked to the cabinet, pulled out a glass, filled it with water, took a long drink, buying time, trying to find the right words. "Jennifer," I said finally, "I'm not jealous. I'm done." That word, done, seemed to hit her harder than anything else I'd said. The finality of it, the coldness. She yanked off her wedding ring. My grandmother's ring. The one my grandfather had saved for 6 months to buy in 1962. The one that survived World War II, the Depression, 40 years on my grandmother's hand, through 4 kids and countless hardships. "You want me to be your wife?" Jennifer screamed. "Here's your grandmother's precious ring." She threw it, hard. It bounced off the kitchen wall with a sharp ping, rolled across the floor, and disappeared into the gap beside the refrigerator. Into darkness. The silence after was absolute. That ring survived World War II, the Depression, and 40 years on my grandmother's hand, I said quietly. "It'll survive you too." Jennifer was staring at the space where the ring had disappeared, her breathing ragged. I could see reality starting to penetrate her anger, the magnitude of what she'd just done. I picked up my keys. "I'm sleeping at a hotel tonight. My lawyer will call you tomorrow to discuss next steps." "Daniel, wait. You wanted to be single again, Jennifer. Congratulations." "You are." I walked out, got in my car, drove to a Hampton Inn off I-77, and checked into a room that smelled like industrial cleaner and other people's problems. Sat on the edge of the bed and stared at my phone. Texted Rebecca. "Papers served. It went as badly as expected." Her response came immediately. "Good, now she knows you're serious. I'll call her tomorrow morning, professional and cold. Let her panic." I lay back on the stiff hotel pillows and closed my eyes. Somewhere in my house, Emma and Noah were at Jennifer's parents' for the weekend, safe from the fallout. Somewhere, Jennifer was probably calling Marcus, crying, telling him about the divorce papers and my accusations. And somewhere, Marcus Sullivan was calculating his next move, wondering if his con was about to unravel. He had no idea the FBI was already building his cage. Saturday morning, 9 a.m. I was drinking terrible hotel coffee when Rebecca called. "I just spoke with Jennifer," she said. "It was enlightening." "How so?" She tried to negotiate. Said she'd agree to marriage counseling, would pull back from the business venture, would do whatever it takes to save the marriage. I told her this isn't a negotiation. The divorce is happening. She needs to retain her own attorney. How'd she respond? She started crying, said you were ruining her life, destroying her one chance at independence, taking her children away. I remained professional and ended the call. But Daniel? She's scared, really scared. She tried calling someone multiple times during our conversation. I could hear the phone ringing in the background. No answer. Marcus. She was trying to call Marcus. "One more thing," Rebecca said. "She asked me if you'd hired an investigator. Asked if there was more to this than just the affair. I didn't answer, but she's suspicious. She knows something's coming." Good. Let her be suspicious. Let her lie awake wondering what I knew and what I didn't. Let her feel a fraction of the uncertainty I'd felt watching our savings disappear. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Mr. Thompson, this is Agent Wright. We're ready to move forward. October 15th. We'll have Marcus Sullivan at a location he thinks is a major investor meeting. We need you to keep Jennifer in the dark until then. Can you do that? October 15th, 16 days. I typed back, yes. 16 days of pretending I didn't know. 16 days of letting Jennifer spiral. 16 days of watching her try desperately to reach Marcus while he prepared for the biggest investor meeting of his career. The meeting that would end with handcuffs instead of a handshake. Jennifer called me 14 times that weekend. Left voicemails that ranged from angry to pleading to confused. "Daniel, please, we need to talk. Something feels wrong. I need you, please." I didn't answer, not once. On Monday, October 2nd, I went back to work, counted pills, answered questions about medication interactions and side effects, pretended to be a normal person living a normal life. Rebecca texted me Tuesday afternoon, Jennifer retained an attorney, Gerald Price. He's, not good. Bottom tier, cheap. She must be running out of money. Of course she was running out of money. She'd given $85,000 to a con artist and was probably still sending him more. Marcus was a parasite, and he'd bleed her dry before disappearing, or before the FBI arrested him, whichever came first. The days crawled by. October 3rd, 4th, 5th. Each morning, I'd check in with Rebecca. Each afternoon, Caroline would send updates on the FBI's progress. They'd interviewed 22 victims now, all cooperating, all ready to testify. The case was airtight. On October 8th, exactly 1 week before the arrest, Jennifer showed up at the CVS while I was working. She looked terrible, hair pulled back messily, no makeup, dark circles under her eyes. She waited until I was alone at the consultation window. "I can't reach him," she said without preamble. "Who?" "Marcus. He's not answering my calls, not responding to texts. It's been 3 days. Daniel, something's wrong." I kept my face neutral. "Maybe he's busy." "No, something's wrong. This isn't like him. We talk every day, multiple times a day, and now, nothing." Radio silence. "Jennifer, I'm at work. Do you think—" She lowered her voice. "Do you think the things you said about him are true? About the fake decree, the shell companies?" "Yes. But what if you're wrong?" "I'm not wrong." She stared at me, and I saw it. The first crack in her certainty. The first moment of real doubt. She'd built her entire fantasy on Marcus Sullivan being genuine, being the man who saw her, who believed in her, who loved her. What if he wasn't? "Jennifer," I said quietly, "you need to prepare yourself for the possibility that Marcus isn't who you think he is. But the business? There is no business." Her eyes filled with tears. "You don't know that. I do." She left without another word. I watched her walk across the parking lot to her car, shoulders hunched, moving like someone who'd aged 20 years in 20 days. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I remembered Beth Cooper, remembered Melissa Parker's disabled son, remembered Rachel Thompson in that parking garage with a bottle of pills, remembered Angela Davis seeing her daughters every other weekend. Jennifer had made her choices. Now, she got to live with them. 7 more days until Marcus Sullivan's arrest. 7 more days until Jennifer's world imploded completely. I could wait. October 15th, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was sitting in an FBI surveillance van parked 3 blocks from the Ivy's Hotel in uptown Charlotte, watching everything unfold on a laptop screen. Agent Wright had allowed me to observe. "You've earned this," he'd said that morning. "You're the reason we caught him. You deserve to see it happen." The Ivy's Hotel was one of Charlotte's most expensive, the kind of place where power brokers made deals over $30 cocktails and handshake agreements that moved millions. The perfect venue for what Marcus Sullivan thought was going to be the biggest score of his career. Caroline sat beside me in the van, headphones on, monitoring communications. 2 other FBI agents worked equipment I didn't understand. Screens showed multiple camera angles of the hotel's private dining room. "Marcus just pulled into valet parking," one agent said, checking his phone. "Subject is on site." My heart rate picked up. After weeks of waiting, watching, documenting, it was actually happening. "And the wife?" Caroline asked. "Already inside, arrived 20 minutes ago, early, eager, just like Sullivan conditioned her to be. Jennifer, my wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, sitting in that dining room right now, thinking this was her moment, her big break, the validation she'd been chasing for 6 months. She had no idea she was walking into a trap. Agent Wright's voice crackled through the radio. "All units in position, undercover agents seated, victims in place. We're go on my signal." I leaned closer to the laptop screen. The camera angle showed the private dining room, elegant, wood-paneled, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. A long conference table set for what looked like a business lunch. And sitting around that table, 15 people, 10 FBI agents posing as investors, and 5 women whose lives Marcus Sullivan had destroyed. Melissa Parker from Charleston, the woman who'd lost her disabled son's college fund. She sat at the far end of the table, hands folded, face expressionless, waiting. Lauren Mitchell from Atlanta, Angela Davis from Raleigh, 2 other women I'd never met, but whose stories Caroline had shared. All of them there. All of them about to face the man who'd conned them. And Jennifer, sitting in the middle, wearing a navy dress I'd never seen before, probably bought with money we didn't have. She looked nervous but excited, kept checking her phone, probably wondering why Marcus wasn't answering her texts about last-minute details. Subject entering the building, the radio crackled. On screen, Marcus Sullivan walked into the lobby, mid-40s, expensive suit, confident stride, handsome in that practiced way, the kind of face that smiled easy and lied easier. He took the elevator to the 3rd floor, walked down the hallway toward the private dining room, checked his reflection in a window, adjusted his tie, preparing for the performance. He opened the door. Jennifer stood immediately, smiling, relieved. "Marcus, there you are. I was starting to worry." "Apologies for the delay," Marcus said smoothly, working the room with his eyes. "Traffic was murder, but I'm here now, and I'm excited to introduce you all to the future of female-focused venture capital." He moved to the head of the table, started arranging his laptop, pulling up what I assumed was a fake presentation full of fake projections for a fake company. "Before we begin," he said, "I want to thank you all for your interest in this groundbreaking opportunity. What we're building here isn't just a business. It's a movement, a revolution in how women access capital, build wealth, and—" Marcus James Sullivan. Agent Wright stood up from his seat at the table, pulled out his badge. "FBI, you're under arrest for wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, and interstate financial crimes." The room exploded into motion. 4 agents converged on Marcus from different angles. He actually tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. They had him against the wall in seconds, hands behind his back, handcuffs clicking into place. "You have the right to remain silent," Wright began. I watched Jennifer on the screen, watched her face cycle through confusion, recognition, horror. She was looking around the room now, really looking. Seeing Melissa Parker stand up. Seeing Lauren Mitchell stand up. Seeing 3 other women rise from their seats, all of them staring at Marcus with expressions that ranged from satisfaction to rage to something like grief. "What?" Jennifer's voice was barely audible through the surveillance equipment. "What is this? I don't understand." Melissa Parker stepped forward, made eye contact with Jennifer, held it. "He told you that you were special, didn't he?" Melissa's voice was steady, controlled, years of pain compressed into those words. "He told me that too, after he took $120,000 from me, my son's college fund, money for his medical care, his future, gone." Jennifer shook her head. No, this is—" "Marcus, tell them—" But Marcus wasn't looking at her. He was staring at Agent Wright with the expression of a man whose con had finally, impossibly, failed. "Don't say anything without a lawyer," Marcus shouted as they led him toward the door. Not to the room, not to the victims, to Jennifer specifically. "Jennifer, do not talk to them. Get a lawyer. Say nothing." And that's when it hit her, really hit her. The implication of his words. The fact that he was worried about what she might say, that she wasn't his partner or his girlfriend or his business associate. She was a liability. Jennifer collapsed into her chair. I could see her chest heaving, hyperventilating. One of the FBI agents, a woman I didn't recognize, moved toward her, but Jennifer held up a hand, waving her away. "What did I do?" Jennifer's voice came through the speakers, small and broken. "What did I do?" She kept repeating it, over and over. "What did I do? What did I do?" Agent Wright approached her, calm, professional. "Ms. Thompson, I need you to come with us to our field office. You have some decisions to make." "I didn't know," Jennifer said, still shaking her head. I thought—" "We'll discuss everything downtown," Wright said. "You're not under arrest, not yet. But we need to have a conversation about your involvement in Mr. Sullivan's operation." "Operation?" The words seemed to break something else in Jennifer. Her face crumpled. She looked around the room at the 5 women, at the FBI agents, at the cameras she was only now noticing mounted in the corners. "How long have you been watching?" she asked. "Long enough," Wright said. They led her out, led Marcus out separately, through a different door. The surveillance footage showed them putting him in one vehicle, Jennifer in another, heading to separate destinations, separate futures. In the van, I sat back. felt my hands shaking. Caroline put a hand on my shoulder. "You okay?" she asked. "I don't know," I said honestly. I thought I'd feel something, satisfaction, relief, but I just feel tired. "That's normal," she said. "Justice doesn't always feel like people think it will." My phone buzzed 3 hours later. I was home by then, picking Emma and Noah up from school, pretending this was a normal Monday, helping with homework, making dinner, being dad. The text was from Agent Wright. "Your wife took the deal. She's cooperating fully. Testimony scheduled for trial. You should know. She asked to call you. I approved it. Be prepared." The call came at 8:30 p.m., after the kids were in bed, after I'd cleaned the kitchen and folded laundry and done all the ordinary tasks that keep a life moving forward even when it's falling apart. "Daniel," her voice was barely a whisper, hoarse from crying. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear to God I didn't know." I didn't say anything, just listened. Agent Wright showed me everything. All the other women, all the money, the fake companies, the fake degree, everything. Her voice broke. I thought I was special. I thought I was building something. I thought, God, I was so stupid, so incredibly stupid. "Jennifer, no, let me finish. Please, I need to say this." She took a shaky breath. "I betrayed you. I stole from you. I brought my best friend into this nightmare. I did all of that, and I can't take any of it back. But I didn't know Marcus was stealing from everyone. I thought the business was real. I thought we were... What did Agent Wright offer you?" Silence. Then, "Full cooperation. Testify against Marcus. Provide all communications. Help them understand his methods. In exchange, they won't charge me as a co-conspirator. And if you don't cooperate, 5 to 20 years, federal prison, wire fraud, conspiracy. They have evidence I recruited Beth, that I took a referral fee. Daniel, I could go to prison." "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to testify," she said immediately. "I'm going to tell them everything, show them everything. But that means," her voice cracked, "that means facing those women in court, hearing what Marcus did to them, what I helped him do, even if I didn't know I was doing it. You took $5,000 for bringing Beth to him. I know, and I have to live with that. But Daniel, what should I do? Tell me what to do. Please." I closed my eyes, thought about Melissa Parker's son, about Rachel Thompson in that parking garage, about Angela Davis seeing her daughters every other weekend, about wife number 24 who wouldn't exist now because Marcus was in FBI custody. "Tell the truth," I said. "All of it. It's the only thing you haven't tried yet." She was crying now, really crying. "Do you hate me?" "No," I said, and I meant it. "I don't hate you, Jennifer. I'm just done. Will you..." She stopped, started again. "Will you be there, at the trial? I know I don't deserve to ask, but..." "I'll be there," I said. "Not for you, for them, for the women Marcus hurt, but I'll be there." "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." She hung up. I sat in the darkness of my living room, in the house that used to be ours, listening to Emma's music box playing upstairs and Noah's sound machine humming white noise through the walls. Marcus Sullivan was in federal custody. Jennifer was cooperating with the FBI. The divorce was proceeding. My children were safe, sleeping peacefully, unaware their mother might have to testify in a federal trial. Justice was happening. The machine was working. So why did I feel so empty? February 2025. Federal courthouse in Charlotte, 4 months after Marcus Sullivan's arrest. I sat in the gallery, 3 rows back, watching my wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, take the witness stand. She wore a simple gray suit, no jewelry, hair pulled back. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. The trial had been going for 3 days. The prosecution had already established the framework of Marcus's operation through financial records, bank statements, testimonials from forensic accountants who'd traced the money through shell companies and offshore accounts. $1.8 million, 23 victims, 3 years of systematic fraud. Marcus sat at the defense table in an expensive suit his lawyer probably bought for him, maintaining that expression of calm superiority. His defense was predictable. These were consenting adult relationships and business investments that didn't work out. No fraud. Just failed ventures and scorned lovers lying for revenge. The jury didn't look convinced. Jennifer was sworn in. Her hand shook as she placed it on the Bible. The prosecutor, a woman named Patricia Chen, mid-40s, reputation for demolishing white-collar criminals, approached the stand. "Mrs. Thompson, can you tell the court how you met the defendant?" Jennifer's voice was quiet but steady. April 15th, 2024, the Women in Business Summit at the Charlotte Convention Center. He was a keynote speaker. After his session, I approached him to ask about his consulting services. And what happened next? Over the next 2 hours, Jennifer told the story. All of it, the love bombing, the affair, the financial manipulation, the $85,000 wire transfer, the LLC that existed only on paper, the promises of partnership, of empire building, of freedom. She didn't make excuses, didn't try to paint herself as purely innocent. "I wanted to believe him," she said at one point, her voice cracking slightly. "I wanted to believe I was special, that I'd found someone who finally understood me, who saw potential in me that everyone else missed. And I wanted it so badly that I ignored every red flag, every warning sign. Every moment my husband tried to ask questions, I shut him down because I didn't want to hear the answers." "Did you know Mr. Sullivan was defrauding other women?" "No, not then. I thought I was his only—" She stopped, corrected herself. "I thought I was his partner, his girlfriend, the future co-founder of our business. I didn't know there were 22 other women." "But you did recruit at least one other person to Mr. Sullivan, correct?" Jennifer's face went pale. "Yes, my friend Beth Cooper. Marcus said the business needed additional investors, and Beth had recently inherited money, and I thought—" Her voice broke. "I thought I was helping them both. Beth needed investment advice. Marcus needed capital. I introduced them, and he paid me $5,000. "Did you know at the time that this was recruitment into a fraudulent scheme?" "No." Jennifer looked directly at the jury. "But that doesn't make it okay. I brought my best friend to a predator. I took money for doing it. Even if I didn't understand what I was doing, I did it, and I have to live with that." Patricia Chen let that statement hang in the air. Then, "When did you realize Mr. Sullivan had defrauded you?" "October 15th, when the FBI arrested him at what I thought was an investor meeting, when I saw all those women, all his other victims sitting in that room. When I realized every word he'd said to me, he'd said to them. Every promise, every manipulation, all of it. A script he'd perfected over years." The cross-examination was brutal. Marcus's defense attorney, a man named Gerald Thompson, no relation, tried to paint Jennifer as a scorned mistress, fabricating testimony in exchange for immunity, tried to suggest she'd known about the fraud all along, and was now turning on Marcus to save herself. But Jennifer held steady, answered every question directly. When Thompson asked if she'd been granted immunity, she said yes. When he asked if she'd benefited financially from introducing Beth to Marcus, she said yes. When he asked if she had reason to lie to protect herself, she looked him in the eye and said, "I have every reason to lie. But I'm telling the truth anyway." Then came the victim impact statements. Melissa Parker went first. She walked to the stand with the bearing of someone who'd survived something unsurvivable and came out steel. "My son has cerebral palsy," she said, her voice clear and strong. "He's 17 now. The $120,000 Marcus Sullivan stole from me was for his college education, his future medical care, his independence. Because of Mr. Sullivan's fraud, we couldn't afford necessary surgery for 8 months. 8 months my child was in pain. 8 months of watching him suffer because I trusted the wrong person." She looked at Marcus. He didn't look back. "I'm an educated woman. I have a master's degree. I've run successful businesses. And he still got me. Because he didn't target stupid women. He targeted lonely women, ambitious women, women who wanted to believe they could be more than what their circumstances allowed. And he weaponized that hope." Lauren Mitchell testified next. Spoke about divorcing her husband for Marcus, believing they'd build a life together. Spoke about the moment he disappeared after the final wire transfer, about the shame, the embarrassment, the way it changed her ability to trust anyone, including herself. Rachel Thompson's testimony was the hardest to hear. Her voice was flat, affectless, as she described the parking garage, the pills, the note she'd written to her family, the security guard who'd saved her life. "I'm alive," she said. "I'm in therapy. I'm rebuilding. But the woman I was before I met Marcus Sullivan, She's gone. He killed her without ever laying a hand on her. Angela Davis spoke last, described losing custody of her daughters, described their confusion, their anger, their feeling of abandonment. They ask me why I chose him over them, Angela said, tears streaming down her face. They're 9 and 11 years old, and they think their mother chose a stranger over them. How do I explain I didn't choose him? That I was hunted? That I was prey? They're too young to understand. Maybe they'll never understand. 4 hours of testimony. 4 hours of destruction cataloged, quantified, made real. Marcus Sullivan was convicted on all counts. February 28th, the judge sentenced him to 12 years in federal prison plus $1.8 million in restitution he'd never be able to pay. As they let him out in handcuffs, he looked at Jennifer one last time. No emotion, no recognition, just a predator cataloging a failed hunt before moving on to imagine the next one. The divorce was finalized in March, uncontested. I got primary custody of Emma and Noah. Jennifer got supervised visitation every other weekend. Our house sold in April. I moved to a smaller place in South Charlotte. Started fresh with furniture that didn't carry memories. And then I made a choice that surprised everyone, including myself. Rebecca called it financial insanity. You could take everything from her, Daniel. She owes you $60,000, the $85,000 minus legal considerations. You could garnish her wages, force bankruptcy, make her life hell. Why are you offering her a payment plan? Because destroying Jennifer wouldn't bring back the money. Teaching her might prevent the next version of her. I offered her a deal through our lawyers. $1,000 a month for 5 years. No interest, no collections. Contingent on 3 conditions: complete a year of financial counseling, maintain steady employment, and participate in a fraud victim support group. She accepted. But there was one more thing I needed to do. My parents had left me $100,000 when they died. I'd spent $15,000 on lawyers and investigators to catch Marcus Sullivan. That left $85,000. In May 2025, I founded the Thompson Financial Literacy Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to educating people, especially women, about romance scams, financial manipulation, coercive control. We partnered with local colleges, women's shelters, community centers. Agent Wright helped us develop workshops. Caroline Rodriguez volunteered as a speaker. And Jennifer, she volunteered too. Not because I asked her to, because she needed to. Once a month, she stands in front of groups of women and tells her story, not as a hero, as a cautionary tale, as proof that education, intelligence, and success don't make you immune to manipulation. I was 36 years old, she tells them. Married 12 years, mother of 2, marketing professional, college educated, and I still fell for it, because Marcus Sullivan didn't target my intelligence. He targeted my loneliness, my ambition, my need to feel seen. 500 people educated in the first 6 months. 3 potential scams reported and stopped by women who recognized the red flags. It's not redemption, not for Jennifer, not for me. But it's something. I found the ring in November. We were preparing the old house for closing, and I was moving the refrigerator to clean behind it. There it was, my grandmother's ring, covered in dust and debris, but intact. Survived World War II, the Depression, 40 years of marriage, and Jennifer's rage. I held it in my hand for a long time. Thought about putting it away for Emma, but that felt wrong. This ring had too much history, too much weight. Emma deserved jewelry without ghosts. I sold it, got $8,000, donated every penny to the foundation. The ring's journey from symbol of love to thrown weapon to force for good. Maybe that's the only redemption any of us get. Not being perfect, just being useful. It's October 2025 now. 1 year since Marcus's arrest. Emma's 9, Noah's 7. They know a simplified version of what happened. Mom made bad choices, Dad and Mom aren't married anymore, but they both love them very much. Someday they'll want the full story. Someday I'll have to explain that their mother isn't a villain or a victim. She's both simultaneously in ways that don't resolve neatly. Jennifer sends her payment on time every month, sees the kids every other weekend, goes to therapy twice a week, hasn't dated, works as an administrative assistant, making a third of what she used to. We don't talk much, exchanges about the kids, logistics. Once she thanked me for the payment plan. "You could have destroyed me," she said. I deserved it. I didn't want to destroy you, I told her. I wanted you to face what you did. There's a difference. People ask if I forgave Jennifer. I don't know if that's the right word. Forgiveness implies absolution, closure, moving past. I'm not sure I've done any of that, I released her. That's different. She's not my wife, not my enemy, not my responsibility. She's just someone I used to know, someone who threw away 40 years of family history for a man who never existed, someone who destroyed our marriage, our savings, our trust, someone who also got manipulated, exploited, used as a tool in someone else's con. Both things are true. They don't cancel each other out. Marcus Sullivan is in FCI Butner, a federal prison in North Carolina, 10.5 years left on his sentence. I don't think about him much anymore. He's not worth the mental real estate. But sometimes, late at night when the kids are asleep and the house is quiet, I think about that conference. April 15th, 2024. The moment Jennifer walked up to Marcus Sullivan's booth and decided to believe in what he was selling. What if she'd walked past? What if I'd gone with her that day? What if I'd paid more attention to her unhappiness before someone else weaponized it? The what-ifs don't change anything. But they keep me up sometimes. I'm not the same person I was a year ago. I'm more careful, more suspicious, more aware that betrayal doesn't announce itself with warning signs and sirens. It walks in wearing a nice suit and tells you exactly what you want to hear. But I'm also, strangely, more grateful for my kids, for the work I do at the foundation, for the women we've helped avoid becoming Marcus Sullivan's next victims, for the knowledge that justice isn't always satisfying, but it's still worth pursuing. Jennifer threw away our marriage. Marcus Sullivan threw away 23 women's futures, and I threw away my need for perfect endings. Was I too harsh? Too lenient? Should Jennifer have faced criminal charges? Should I have offered her nothing instead of a payment plan? I don't know. I'll probably never know. All I know is this. I didn't cheat on my wife. I didn't steal from my family. I didn't manipulate anyone or con anyone or weaponize anyone's dreams. When I found out about the betrayal, I documented it, reported it, and let justice work the way it's supposed to work. And when it was over, I chose mercy over revenge. Not because Jennifer deserved it, because I did. That's the story. That's what happened when my wife threw her ring at me and said she missed being single. Was it the right choice? Would you have done the same? Or is mercy just another word for weakness? I'll let you decide. This story is a fictionalized dramatization for educational and entertainment purposes. If you or someone you know is experiencing financial coercion or manipulation in a relationship, resources are available. National Domestic Violence Hotline 1-800-7-7233. FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center IC3.gov. This is not legal, financial, or relationship advice. This is a story, not instruction.